What it comes down to is when you're walking with the King's Cape, when you're walking in the force field that you set for yourself, and you retain the position of never being moved by praise or persecution, when you retain Mushin, the mind of no mind, the empty cup. You can think of Mushin as an empty cup. When you retain that, you become objective rather than subjective. Now you combine that with the Yi, that's Y-I, the Yi energy principle of intention, and you become unstoppable. I remember in Japan, the subtleties of negotiation. The host who had us over sent one of his representatives to try and tell us that the lunch could only be served at a certain time. Now, it didn't matter to them when they served a lunch, but everything that they did, they wanted to make it seem like they were making a concession and doing us a favor, so that way we would be obligated to them. So, when he said that, well, I'll check with the cooks, it's going to be very difficult, my intuition, now remember, your intuition is your lie detector. My intuition told me that it doesn't matter. They've got a full-time chef on staff, they've got cooks back there, they've got full-time, it doesn't matter, it's like a restaurant. Anytime that restaurant is open, if you want a meal, you go in and order one. I knew that. So I said, no problem, and I began to stand up and I said, I'll just go talk to the cooks right now. Oh, no, Mr. Scott. And he stopped me, and he said, I'm sure it'll be fine, it's not a problem. He didn't want me to go talk to the cooks who weren't aware of the negotiations, who would simply say, sure, whenever you want a meal. But I learned much from that. You see, all of life is martial arts, and you can take the learnings from every experience you have and go, how can I apply that to another area? So I could clearly see that every negotiation, they were trying to make it a concession, and they were very tactical. Listen to this. I had all of my notes and all of my things all folded up in a full, about 10 sheets of paper folded up and in my back pocket. Our contract, the rider, everything that they were to provide for me, I just kept it all in my back pocket. Now they had a binder with plastic sheets and inserts, and it had every fax. It had notes of every phone call in chronological order, so that they could use that as a resource in the negotiations. It even had my likes and dislikes, what kind of food and music I preferred. You see, they were highly, highly tactical. And that told me something. I said, they really have it together on this. I need to do the same thing. So now, I'm not saying to keep little notes on everybody, but you begin to have that in your mind. You have a sense of walking like a king, everything that we've discussed. And when you're negotiating, that can happen. I remember years ago, we were at a big casino. We were having an event at a big casino. And at this casino, we had a lot of people come. And all these people were coming in, and I only had one other guy helping me administrate that day. And all these people, Andrew, and something wasn't being done right. The food wasn't being served for our people. The billing wasn't right on the sign. Everything was wrong. The lighting on the stage was mixed up. So I had to talk to the event manager, who had an office back behind the kitchen. And he was this Korean guy. And as I was walking down the hall, I saw this guy yelling. I mean, big pot-bellied guy, and he's yelling at his cook, and he's yelling at his staff. I mean, just a bulldog. Seen that bumper sticker? It says, if I can only live once, let me live my life as a pit bull. You seen the other bumper sticker? It says, there are 2 secrets to getting everything you want in life. Number 1, don't tell everything you know. And there was no number 2. I love that bumper sticker. So, getting back to it. This Korean event manager, yelling at the cooks, yelling at everybody. Man, people were hustling. They were moving. It was like Moses speaking, man. I mean, they were moving. So I get in the office with this guy, and in my mind, I already made a mental note. This guy runs a tight ship. I mean, he does. I was impressed with how they were getting things done back there. It was a machine, and it was like an orchestra, and he was orchestrating. He was forceful. He was yelling. So I get in that office, and I sit down, and I say, hi. Here's some things we need for our event that aren't being provided. And this guy blows up at me. And I mean, you can almost see my cheeks flapping like the Memorex commercial. But there was no emotion on my part. I just sat there. And whenever he'd stop or pause and I could talk, I'd say, I know, but this is what we need. I know. And I just remained genuine. I remained sincere. Most people would have done one of 3 things. They would have gotten angry and yelled back, how dare you treat me that way? You can't yell at me like this. Rawr! Or they would have been intimidated and, okay, fine, never mind. Or they would have essentially taken the bait. I didn't take the bait. Instead, I remained Mushin, empty mind. And I didn't even know. Again, I didn't even really know about Mushin at that time quite like I do now. I didn't even have it in mind. I didn't think, okay, I need to be empty-minded. It was just natural. I just took it. And as this guy was barraging at me, yelling at me, and every so often he paused and I say, yeah, I know. I just remained patient. Patience is such a vital key. I remained patient. All of a sudden, this guy's yelling. I mean, he's red in the face, sweating, scary, right? All of a sudden, I could just see he broke. He cracked a little smile. He just cracked a little smile. That smile told me everything I needed to know. He knew that what he was doing was an act. He was like Kiss putting on their makeup. He'd put on the makeup and give his big show with fire and thunder, and it would work. He ran a tight ship. You could see people moving, man. He ran a tight ship, but with me, he could see that that wasn't going to work. So he cracked this little smile, and all of a sudden, he just became a different person. He said, let me take a look here. Yeah, I think, okay, we can do that. We can do that. Fine. Shook hands. Done. Because I had weathered his storm. I wasn't moved by his persecution. Now they can do it another way. They could say, we're so happy to have you here. They could give you praise. Oh, you're so great. You know, and on it goes, and still try to manipulate you. What it comes down to is that you can use what I've taught you here to handle every and any relationship in any situation. It comes down to this. Do I really mean it or don't I? Ask yourself that. Do you really mean it or don't you? Because if you really mean it, then you're not going to blow up. You're not going to surrender. If you really mean it, you would never plead, would you? Because the moment you plead, essentially pleading is a form of surrender. It's a form of already whining and crying about the pain. Wah! You've just spanked me. They haven't spanked you yet. They haven't won yet. But the moment you plead, I remember driving down the street with my brother. He's driving. This is when I was a teenager. See, all through my life I picked up these little things. And a cop is behind us. The lights go on. And he goes, damn! And he's banging the dash. And he's cussing up a storm. And he's red in the face. And I said, bro, relax. You don't know what's going on. The cop comes up. You were going a little over the speed limit. Here's my driver's license. So the cop writes him a ticket. I learned from that. I thought to myself, why blow up? You don't know. Cop pulls me over. I'll say, hey, what's going on? Hey, can I help you? You're speeding. Wow, I didn't even notice. I'm sorry. Could you give me a break? Okay? That doesn't work all the time. But it's worked more times than I can count. Why? Because some cops will give you a break, some won't. But there are cops who would give you a break who would have given you a break. But you already reacted. That ticket was written the moment you saw those lights on and you didn't even know what was up. You ever have him pull you over and he was just going to tell you, hey, you got a tail light out. He's just going to give you a warning. He was just going to ask you a question. And you freaked out. Bam, you hit the dash and you set it up. So that energy you put out, he's used to seeing that. So don't get pissed off or have a heart attack the next time you see the lights in your rearview mirror. Ask what's going on. And the good cop who was going to give you a break would probably give you one. But you've got that energy that, oh, damn, just throwing your hands up. Expectation. He got what he expected. I learned from that. Do I really mean it? When you don't know, you stay fluid. You stay fluid and harmonious in the situation. Because you don't know. So why assume the worst? Why precondition and automate yourself to receive the worst? Why not stay empty? The empty cup, the empty vessel. You've all seen the one where this is your mind. And they pour the water in, it's pouring over the cup, right? See? And if you do not have empty mind, how will you receive my information? And that's true. That's a good and excellent analogy, speaking of empty cup. All right, give me some more water, please. Thank you. So, when you expect in advance, when you use your automations to react negatively to everything around you, hey, you ever been so tired and said, and that's how you're going through life mentally and emotionally. Now, let me give you a question right now, and this question will give you an unfair advantage over any situation. This question is deep, yet so simple. And the question is, how do you stop a moving train? How do you stop a moving train? Well, do you stand in front of it? No, you don't do that, do you? How do you stop a moving train? You run alongside of it, don't you? You run alongside of that train. What do? Bump at a bump, you pick up the tempo. Bump at a bump until you run alongside of it. You grab on, you jump up. Then you climb up top of it, go up all the way to the front, reach down, grab the conductor's hair, pull him back, slash his throat, pull the brake, you stop the train. That's how you stop a moving train. You don't stop a moving train by opposing it, by standing in front of it, by screaming and yelling at it, by complaining about that train to your friends and family. That's not how you stop a train. And everything is a train set in motion, especially people. People are like trains on a railroad track. Once they get going, they tend to go that way. Have you ever noticed the law of the snowball of momentum? The law of momentum. You start people in a way, they get going that way. It might even be painful. Painful habits. Overeating, over drinking, over smoking, bad relationships. They're all just momentum. You started in that way, you got familiar with it, and it doesn't even matter if it was painful or disturbing to you. The more familiar you became, the more you did it. The more you do something, the more you become it. So, a train is any problem. How do you stop it? You intercept it. Jeet Kune Do, way of the intercepting fist. That's what he meant by that. The Tao of Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Like musical harmony. When you join a choir, and you all sing together, la 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 la, and you're all singing la 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 la, and you come in, and if they're carrying a note, la, and you can come in and go, la, right? And break that up. Or you could come in and join them on that note, la, and take it totally up to a totally skyrocket, and you jump out, bah, the lead singer just jumps out, and boom, there he goes. But he harmonized first to get in there. And it's the same situation in a fight, in a martial arts fight, the principles of Aikido, taking them in, of redirecting the energy. And the same thing emotionally or in a business negotiation. How do you stop a train? This applies to all of life. How do you stop a train? You don't stand in front of it and let it run you over. You don't complain about it and let it run your mind and your thinking. Now, in the next DVD, we're going to give you actual ninja mind control strategies that will blow your mind. And you'll see how everything I've been talking about to this point ties in. How it all makes sense. I've broken it down to you. I've westernized the language for you. They say Kino Mutai. I say bite. Okay? I'm cheeseburgering this for you so you can understand it. Simplicity is the key. And all motion in life is best handled and most efficiently handled at the center. Think about it. The center of a wheel. It's the smallest part of a wheel. Take a bike, turn it upside down, spin the wheel. It's the smallest part of a wheel, isn't it? It does the least amount of effort, doesn't it? Out here, the rubber, where the rubber meets the road, that's doing the most, isn't it? The most motion, the most effort. Whew. But the center of the wheel is making the smallest, tiniest of turns, isn't it? You need to become the center of the wheel. When you become the center of the wheel, then you are doing the least amount of effort and getting the most amount of action, the most amount of results with the least amount of effort. You're getting the highest amount of effect. You are becoming the total. What causes the movement of the wheel? The center of the wheel causes the movement. So when you become the center of the wheel, your whole life, everything, all this motion, you become near motionless. And everything is going on around you. And here you are calm in the storm, with your head asleep on a pillow, while the storm rages around you, in perfect control. Energy. All of this motion is energy. People, places, things are all energy. And they all take or add to you. You ever listen to your favorite song, get pumped up, and jump out of the car? Yeah, I'm ready to rock. You ever get a phone call or a knock on the door or a letter in the mail or see something on the news and you become drained? People, places, and things are all energy. Our life is made of energy. You're vibrating right now. Everything. Do you realize there are holes in walls and skin and everything? Everything is energy. So when you master energy, then you master life. Become the center of the wheel. Now, the highest paid people are communicators, aren't they? Everything is an expression of awareness. Awareness is an energy. And someone who has an awareness contains their energy. They become the center of the wheel. You gain that. You become the center of the wheel through awareness. Through Satori, through Zanshin, through Mushin. You become the center of the wheel. Satori, spontaneous enlightenment, awakening like a light turning on in the room. Mushin, the empty mind. It cannot be moved by persecution or praise. Zanshin, remaining vigilantly alert. So alert that you dominate. When you have a super focused awareness, think about it. The professional has a super focused, a hyper focused awareness. If you hire a plumber, it's because he has an awareness. He's focused. He knows how to fix pipes. You don't know anything about it, and you want what they have. When I call a plumber, I want what he has. He needs to fix this sink because I don't know how. You want what I have. This knowledge I have, some of it you may have, some you may not. You grab the ideas, you absorb what is useful, you take it. People want what I have and it's valuable. People want what you have and it's valuable. Do you see? That's a professional. They have a super focused awareness. Now, 4 rules that will help you navigate through life. Number 1, we've already talked about. Never be moved by praise or persecution. The moment you get agitated, think about it. What does a salesman want more than anything? He wants an objection. He wants an objection. He wants you to give him something to work with. So he asks you a question. He says, why? Why not? Why aren't you interested? And the moment you give him feedback, he can work with that. There's no failure, only feedback. He knows he hasn't failed as long as he keeps you communicating. But you put down that phone, that's it. You see? Never, and anyone who tries to manipulate you will try to agitate you and say, why? And they'll use questions. Why can't I come over? Why don't you want to come with me? Why don't you want to do this? Why don't you do that? And the moment that you don't answer, but simply say, no thank you,